I guess it's live now. Hello, everyone. I was reading a text. Sorry. Ooh, it's a mess over here, y'all. We're trying. Okay. Okay. Sorry. Yes. I think we got it.
Hello.
Yay!
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
We're rocking the coral. I had a quick chat to Lindsay just before we like, let's do this and pick up the R energy.
I'm feeling it.
I'm excited because I had my first opportunity to dress up since my surgery and just feel like a live human being. So when
You look great.
when you put clothes on and you feel good.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, you look great. So you're feeling better?
All good. Well, I sleep in the day, chill out with my kids at home. We're on lockdown, but this is nice. It's nice to get your brain going. And so that's what
Yeah.
today. I've got a double R in my name. Rebecca Reinking, rock the R. I've got my R tips.
I
Different
love
ways
it.
of R. So I'm excited to get into this.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I just preface by saying that I do not treat vocalic R just for people in America and who have that stuff. So I don't do I don't know what you say, or all that stuff.
Yeah.
So when I'm thinking about R, and I guess it'll be interesting to know if my R tips do transfer and I guess like carry over or generalize to all those vocalic R's because I don't treat them. But anyway,
Yeah.
I
No,
did.
I'm excited to hear.
I don't do isolation, didn't I? So I guess you guys are thinking, what do I do?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I know, yeah, tell me about the first little bit you wanted to talk about. My brain is so scrambled right now.
Well, that's okay. I'll take over. I think
Thank you.
and we've talked a lot in the past about R, that when I look at R and when I my assessment with any of my speech kids, I want to know the boundaries of what they can and can't do. So if my child has a lisp, I do the same thing as if the child has an R distortion. I really want to test and look at as many different words in different positions, in clusters, at the start, the middle, the end. I want to look and I want to see, I'm kind of like probing and testing, like how rigid is this R? Is it kind of good there, but don't touch that one. So that's what I do. And I think the best way to do this, if you guys just have a set of articulation cards, that to me is like the easiest thing. I don't know if there are any R screeners out there, but I mean, I don't know if you need them if you just have a set of articulation cards. So I've got articulation cards, or the best thing I actually do is I just grab a book. I think a lot of you guys would have, a Weber jumbo articulation or something like that, your artic page. And I will I'll go through here. Sorry.
Well,
Yeah.
there's something called the entire world of R, and it has like every allophone.
There you go. So I would get that out, and I usually pick a couple and I kind of go through and I listen to them, and then I flip to medial. I do the same thing. I flip to my clusters. Clusters are huge. I do the exact same thing. And I'm writing down words, either words that sound really good or sound pretty good. And then I'm just like, I've got like a column, like, don't even touch that. So usually like BR, I don't think I've ever met a little one that does good because you usually lip round, it's usually bled. But KR and GR, there's usually a good one in there. So I'm writing down this list and I'm kind of figuring out what sounds good and what doesn't sound good. In my experience, R initial, I don't usually get any that sound that good, to be honest. Medial.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Do you know, when I start therapy, I usually start in R medial, and I don't know, I've just figured out that a lot of my kids, they sound really good when there's the schwa after the R. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
so, do you know what?
I'm trying to think
I've got to start. One second.
Okay.
I should have prepped the...
Oh, I see people saying, yes, I'm going to save every Instagram live that we do. Don't worry. They'll all be saved.
I don't have it. I should have been more prepared for this. I know I've got a free vowel chart on my store, but I was going to hold it up. I think a schwa is like it's like a middle, your tongue, it's like a central vowel.
Yeah.
And so think about R, your R sound is usually kind of in the central as well. So I have found that my kids are usually pretty good at saying carrot, parrot, and pirate. Like those ones. In my head, I always go first with, does carrot, parrot, and pirate, does it sound good? It's usually like the place that I start, and I really try to figure it out because, it's a facilitating context, that schwa. So that's like favorite places to start, and I usually go in there. Like I say, I ignore R in isolation, completely ignore it. I don't even go there because I find it such an awkward way. Some sounds are great to target in isolation, like S, but R, I just find it very awkward to describe what to do. And if you think about it, there are 11 different types of production cues. I'm looking into this at the moment, so I've got production cues on my head. And when you talk with your tongue up, do this, feel it being tense or whatever it is, that's a phonetic cue, right? That's one cue. And so if you're banging all your buck on phonetic cues as being the thing that's going to help a child say their R, you're forgetting the 10 different other types of production cues out there. You explain it to the kid where to put their tongue. No, I don't. I don't do that at the moment. I just don't even talk about that tongue at the moment, because in my first session, I'm trying to figure out, can I avoid all those tricky cues and everything like that? Can they get a word that they can say really, really good? And we practice that. I had a little one come see me at the start of this year, and he could say parrot so good, like so good. It was the most perfect R, and all of the other ones, they were not. They were very, distorted. They just did not sound correct. And that's all he practiced for the week. It was that word parrot. He could do R initial, R in clusters, R medial after 1 week. Crazy. But I found probed, what he could do.
What would you do if they did not have a single R that they could say that you found?
Well, that little one, for example, I was probing, I think, for 3 or 4 sessions. I was trying all these tricks, 3 or 4 sessions, but he had an SH as well. So I did SH. I worked on SH for 25 minutes. And at the end of my 5 minutes, I just go in with every single R tip I could get, right? And then, so I was just kind of building and trying everything and seeing. And, I was seeing, could he discriminate? Could he, what could we do? So I did lead up to that. I was just checking. So doing 5 minutes, I did 3 sessions of that. I had another little guy as well that was interesting. And at this same concept of figuring out what worked best. And he could say cricket, like perfect. That was the word we practiced. Came back, we went through and I looked at all the blends, and he could say street, amazing. That's STR. Okay, so I was really looking, and I ended up getting this list of words, a list of 10 words. And what I realized when I was looking at, like, because there was like an STR, there was a GR, there was a KR, there was a it was just like a weird mix of words. And I was like, what is the connection between all these? And when I pulled out my vowel chart again, I realised that they were all high front vowels, like the creek and the cricket, high front vowels. Yeah. What was making him accurate and correct? So I could send for homework a list of these words. And then what happens is, because you're probably thinking, but what about all the other sounds? So I focus on those words, and then each session I'm probing, and I'm bringing this out again, and I'm like, I wonder if he could do some FRs now. I wonder if he could do R medial now. I wonder if, and I just add into the mix, because what he's doing is he's going home and he's practicing 10 words with high accuracy and getting that correct R. And I don't really have to give him much feedback about what to do with your tongue because he can do it. He knows how to do it. So instead of struggling with, you need to get R and you need to move your tongue up here, and all that stuff can be abstract for some kids, I'm starting with success. And this kid is like, yes, I can say cricket. And even if they leave that session and we've just practiced cricket 100 times, that child walks away knowing they can do it. And then they're more likely to like, well, let's add on another word because you can do it. Let's find more words that you're really good at.
I love that. And so many people ask me all the time, like where do you start or what do I do next? And it's so dependent on the child. And I mean, for any kid with any kind of speech or language goal, find what they're good at and build on that always.
Yeah.
I love it.
I'll give you my next tip. It's such a weird tip. This works so well. It works so well with heaps of kids, but with my R kids, get them to say it fast. I know it sounds so cool, but I think we can, when we model R, we overemphasize it like carrot. It's so unnatural. Sometimes I'm like, say it fast. And it's like it cuts off that thinking and it's just like this automatic thing. And I just kind of feel like, you know, the tongue just does weird stuff when you slow down and you overthink. I'm not joking. The amount of times I've said to kids, say it fast. Don't go creak, you know, and make it sound really distorted. Creak. Say it fast. Creak. Cricket. Just like do it fast. It's such a weird trick, but it really, really, really has worked so many times. Just getting kids to say it fast. Yeah. I spoke really quick. Those are all my tips, but I'm not.
Wasn't there? No, I guess you kind of did. I thought there was one more. Did we touch on?
I can talk about the probing. I'm super big on probing. So like I said, you know, was there more? No, clusters.
You said, okay. We kind of.
Yeah, so I said I like my high front vowels, number one. I think they're really great for R.
Yeah.
My medial with the schwa afterwards, like your carrot, parrot, pirate. The other ones I love, and this is why in my articulation set, I've got like a little box that I made for myself, and it doesn't have all the sounds because I don't treat all the sounds a lot, but I made it with like things that really help me. So like I need a DR and a TR box and a PR and a GR, because I find out of all the clusters, those two are actually my best bet. PR, FR, BR, they're like honestly last ones to come through, I find personally, because they're too lippy, like it's just too easy to say a W, so I ignore them. But the cr and the gr, I find that's really great, and you can do your grounding.
Your tongue is already back there. And that's actually, I was thinking when you were talking about boundaries. So I like words that end in ing, like so earring or peering. I mean, I find that because the tongue is kind of already back there, that helps too.
Yeah, and sometimes I think like when I picked my words, I did like fairy and berry. Yeah. Sometimes the E can, sometimes not. Sometimes it's more like belly, and it sounds that. And even gorilla, I kind of like that gorilla too. Yeah, so I really do pick my. Like I used to have a set of cards because I update my cards all the time. You know, sometimes you think that's a great picture, that's R in the middle, and then I've realized like mirror and arrow, they're like, don't even put them in there because they're rounded vowels. The mirror got rounded vowels in there, the arrow, it's so easy to say aloe because the rounded vowel after, it's just going to influence the R. So I think when you're looking at your kids and you're looking at your words, if you kind of think about and you just kind of analyze what's the child doing right, like why this, what is it about this? Look at the vowels. And Lindsay, if you can link that free vowel chart, I've got one for Australian, one for the general North American English. So it just kind of helps you problem solve and figure out. But yeah, the DR and the TR can be a really good one too. And I kind of think of them as the same, and I think of those as the same. So I look at my clusters too, because sometimes those are the ones that say, you know, those are the words that help my child. And with this little 8-year-old I was seeing at the start of the year, like I said, ker, gur, STR. And we worked on them, and he figured out how to do R all on his own. And then it generalized, and it carried over to R at the start of words and R at the middle. And I didn't even have to touch them. I'm just probing at the end of each session. Is this, you know,
That's
how are
awesome.
we doing? How are those other ones sounding? So I don't even touch it. So I don't even talk about the tongue. Rarely. Like I rarely do.
Yeah.
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 Anyway.
I think that's like definitely an interesting and very different approach and something to try. There are a couple.
Oh yeah. No, sorry, I was going to say that's the thing with speech sounds. You never know what's going to work for a child, so you just need options. And I think you just can't go in with the same, I'm going to teach that tongue up. There is different ways, and you just need that flexibility to know you've actually got like 5 options maybe on how to start, you know, versus just always go teaching that tongue. Yeah.
I really want you to keep talking about maybe not in this because I want to take some questions, but like I watched your stories earlier about the 11 different cues, and I want to hear more about that. I hope you do like a freebie or a blog post or something.
I'm doing a presentation. I don't know if that's a secret. It might be. I'm doing a presentation on that, so sometime in the future. But yeah, I'd love to take some questions.
So one I saw come, there's 3 that I found that I want to talk about. One was asking about R with older kids, and I actually want you to go back to yesterday's topic with Kristen from Kiwi Speech because older kids are her specialty. So go back and watch the live from yesterday. We talked about that. The next question is like, what age do you work on R?
I've started at about 4 with some kids if there's nothing left. If I've had kids in therapy, for example, and, you know, it's just like there's a little bit there and you know, it's like it's distorted and it's like they've been in therapy, they understand that therapy process and the parents do. Not like I've just turned 4. I'm talking 4 as in I'm nearly 5 and it's there and it's just so easy to just, you know, like, oh, it's just so easy. So I have done it before. Definitely by 5 because in my head, you know, when you're 5, you should really, you know, like you're going to know if it's really hard for that child to say and there's no approximation there, like they can't approximately get it and it's just this, you know, sound. I kind of know it's probably going to stay like that. So definitely by 5, I would do it. That's me personally. Why? And then it just gets more and more and more ingrained, that pattern, when you can kind of get in there and they're just super malleable and easy and they understand therapy, they know what to do. I'm kind of like, let's just bud super quick if we can, or sometimes take that little break and come back. So that's me.
So I see something about tongue twisters at phrase or sentence level. I personally really like those. I have some of those in my TPT store, and Kristen and I talked about that yesterday with older students as a way to help with carryover and getting them just kind of dividing their attention and giving them a challenge to keep things fresh and to help get carryover.
Yeah. I just read it up and it says when you say you don't treat vocalic R, you mean you don't make goals. So in Australian English, even though we have like the word car, it's actually a long vowel. It's like a long A. Car. Car. It's not car. We don't have, even though we have the spelling with the R on the end, we say teacher with a schwa on the end, not teacher. So anything that's vocalic R in Australian English, I'm pretty sure in British English, in New Zealand English, I think everywhere except for America and Canada, we don't treat that because we don't consider it an R. It's actually a long vowel.
So one thing I think is interesting, so like for American English, when we're thinking about vocalic R, we would also consider medial R vocalic R.
I only do. So this is a problem I find when I look at our medial resources, like in America,
Mm-hmm.
like say the word hard, that's a long vowel. That's not a medial R for me. So for me, a medial vowel is where you've got like a vowel after it. Carrot,
Mm-hmm.
fairy. Kind of need a
Mm-hmm.
vowel straight either side for it really to be medial for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't have a consonant afterwards. So that's why, yeah, anything I make, I always make sure that my medial R, it works for like the whole world. Does that make sense? Like my word
Mm-hmm.
target, the whole world. It's not just, yeah. Because I've got like, you know, like lots of American resources and I'm like, well, I can't use that word, can't use that word, can't use that word because it's not medial R for us. Yeah. Does that make
Right.
sense?
And somebody, yeah, I saw somebody just say, and that's a good point. Medial R wouldn't always be vocalic. Like in the example you gave with hard, that's not vocalic R.
Yeah. Or
Or,
heart.
well, it's not intervocalic for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, the name of that book. Oh, the book that Rebecca is holding up is one of her articulation card resources, I think.
I
You want
bind,
to show them the
I'm a
cover?
full binder because it's so
Yeah.
easy. See how to flip? Yeah, no, I've just got
Mm-hmm.
articulation cards. And I just bind because it's just so easy to flip and then you can have a page and yeah, and then I just made them. I made them into cards. Oh, that nearly got me in the head. I made them into cards. Personal preference, I just find it easy to photocopy and to flip through stuff. Really easy to have
Yeah.
bound like that.
I'll have a link to it as well. I have a post that you can find in my link in bio. Right? My bio link, my profile link. And it'll have like things that we reference in the lives. It'll have links to those things so you guys can just find it easily in one place. Do you have time for one more question?
Oh, I'm happy to answer all of them because people are asking. I've seen
I like
here, what's your
the
take on your position? Are you looking at that? What are you looking at?
I was looking at I think, okay, sorry, it cut out. Yeah, the same one, jaw position.
Yeah. I don't usually, I'm going to be honest, I don't usually think about it or look at it, to be honest, jaw position. But it's a piece of the puzzle because for some kids, that's the missing piece, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's the missing piece for one of my kids with an S, but it's not the missing piece for the majority of my kids. I think the thing, you know, when you're looking, and I guess why I'm saying don't always go in teaching tongue position is, and taking time in your first session, like you've assessed your child, you know it, instead of just going straight in with therapy, that first session for me is like, okay, well, I know it's R, let's really see what's going on. That's when you really, really look. And if you think it's jaw position, then you do what you need to do to confirm that it, you know, the way the jaw is, if it's, you know, if it's open or if, you know, there's no grading or anything like that there.
Mm-hmm.
If that's what you think is the factor that's contributing most to their R, then yeah, that's what you need to address. But every single child is different and every single child responds differently to different cues. And that's kind of like what I sing from the rooftops. You can't go in with the same game plan for every child because it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if there's any more questions.
I think we caught all of them.
Yeah. Pretty
Right?
sure. Has a question. I'm all good. I think there was one about teenagers, sorry. What would you do with teenagers?
Yeah, and that's the one I told to go back and look at Kristen's,
Yeah.
but because you work with mostly younger, right?
Yeah, I still get older kids. I work mostly with younger kids. I still get older kids. I just use a lot of their I know with one of my kids, he has a really great time. He loves this narrating YouTube videos to me and I can't see them. So like he loves Mr. Bean, and this is more when we're at that level, you know, structured sentences and things like that. He absolutely loves being able to do that. And then what I do is I draw on my table, and as he's talking and he's narrating to me what's going on, I'm writing on my table correct or incorrect, and he can see a tally and he's getting immediate feedback on how accurate he is. At the end of the day, when I am working with an older kid though, I always be upfront with them and I say, look, if you don't want to work on this sound, I'm not gonna force you. I work in private practice, so I can say that. I know it's hard to say that in schools, but I basically say, I'm not going to force you. You do sound different. Your peers probably are noticing that your R is incorrect. I'd love to help you with that, but it's going to be hard work. And I'm just upfront. It's going to be hard work. I'm going to need at least 100 practices in our 30 minutes. You're going to have to do that carryover. So like, are you willing to give this a go? I'm just very upfront. And even with my parents too, if they bring an older child in, I'm very upfront that, if you want to work on this, let's do it. But I need your engagement and I need your motivation. Otherwise we're kind of wasting each other's time. It's a bit hard, but it's, I'm not going to make I don't want to.
But I agree. Like you gotta treat them at least somewhat like an adult. I think so too, because that's the only way you're going to get the buy-in is if, you can't trick an older kid into doing anything.
Yeah.
Okay. I like this question from a fellow Aussie about like, if you were to talk about tongue position, cause that's like, I talk about tongue position all the time. I'm definitely one of those. And Rebecca and I are going to, we don't have time to get into all of it now, but I want to have Rebecca on my podcast sometime to really dive into our take versus phono or both. But if you were to give tongue placement cues, do you have any that you would use?
You know what I talk about? I do this a lot. I'm like, you've got to, what do I say? Oh, this is my gesture. You've got to, what do I say? Oh, what's my adjective? I do this.
Tighten?
No, I've never used that. No, not squeeze.
Use that adjective.
I do. I say something. You've got to your tongue. I'm trying to think of the word. Oh, I use this though. You've got to
contract.
No, it's too complex. Guys, I don't know. We should have you should have a caption this. What's Rebecca mean? I blank. And I don't say bunch. No, maybe bunch. No. But I do this because I kind of feel like in my head when I hear that scrunch, tighten, bunch. I love this. Come on, guys. We're a speech pathologist. We should have great adjectives.
I love this. Everyone's like scrunch, bunch.
What I'm trying to say? I definitely do this. I'm a big person on gestures. But because I kind of feel like that tongue just feels, to me, when I hear a child and they say like, cut, I'm like, your tongue is like this floppy, loose little thing. You've got to maybe it is squeeze. You've got to bunch. Maybe it is bunch. I can't remember. When I'm in the moment, it just comes out. But I'm definitely doing this, you've got to do this with your tongue. Carrot. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So if you just do that. And you guys can insert your own adjective because you never know. You know how I said you never know what's going to work? Everything's different. Might work for one child. Growl might work for another. What Kelly's saying, flex might work for another child. Insert your own adjective. Just try that like this. Because that's what I feel like this in the mouth. And it's like, no, you've got to carrot. You've got to really bring it in. Your own adjective.
Well, I saw something scroll by asking about bunch versus squeezy fingers. I love it. Amy. So something bunch, scrolled.
There we go. It might be that bunch. Yeah.
It could be. But somebody was asking about bunch versus retroflex, and I'll link a video
I don't
that
even know
have for that. Yeah.
But I just don't even know. I can't even roll my R. Isn't that? I've tried. I've had people try to teach me. I cannot even do it.
Yeah.
Can you do
roll the R?
Yeah.
Like in Spanish?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't even do it. I can't even do it. I can't even. And I've read, this is the thing. I've had people tell me the phonetic placement cues, like you've got to lift up your tongue and you've got to fill the air. It means nothing to me. Phonetic placement cues, they just don't click with me, which is why I think I don't a lot, and I don't talk about the tongue as much. I cannot, for the life of me, roll my R. And in Italian, they've got, you know how there's a tap as well as a trill? When I go to say a tap, I have to stop and really think about it, because there's a lettuce that I like to eat. See, I was just about to say it, and I had to think. Oh, radicchio. Yeah, and it's a tap. I find it so hard. And that's why if someone taught me a different way, give me a metaphor, give me something else, I know everyone tells me to do with my tongue and my placement cues. I'm a speech pathologist. I can't figure it out. So, yeah. Maybe you should do an R. Get all your cues
What'd you
out.
say?
Maybe you should do an R session. See if you can elicit a trill live. You can
with you. Well, I've never taught a trill.
Don't add more on your plate.
But I do think it's interesting because I use placement cues a lot, but you're reminding me that, you know, I shouldn't always rely on those. I should change it up, but it's just so great to learn from different perspectives because everyone does things so differently, but we all find success one way or the other. And I just think that's really cool.
Yeah. And you go with what you're successful with. Cool. Well, I'm excited for your week because I know everyone's coming at you from a different angle. And that's the whole point of Rock the R is everyone's just going to be farted with Rock the R. There we go. R tips. So who's tomorrow? Is it Amy tomorrow?
Tomorrow is Karen, Amy's Thursday, and then I'll do solo on Friday.
Yay. Cool. Thanks so much for having me on. I chatted so much. Pretty quick today, wasn't I? 10 minutes. It's been 30.
I know, but it was also good. And I'm glad we got to answer some questions. And thank you so much for joining us, Rebecca. I really appreciate it.
All right. See ya. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.